Hi, my name is Laura Nash, and I'm the owner and designer at Chic Pattern Company. Today you're involved in week 4 of our Sew Along with Simplicity 1061. I've designed this pattern especially for them, and we are going to talk about the trim now. So I've got a bodice here, and there's some special notches that you'll see, or some symbols on your pattern, small circles, large circles. And all those are really important, but I like to use my ruler rather than those circles. We have to use those to explain what needs to happen. But in our last segment, you'll notice that I did a little mark, and I did a mark. This is white chalk, so I used some different color chalk so you could see that really well. And to put my trim on here, I found the center, so I just folded this in half. I put a pin there. I folded my bodice in half, put a pin there, and then I matched those up. And then the next thing you do is you match it over here on this side. You'll notice that there's a little notch out there for the sleeve area. Put that in there, and you know, they almost just match up perfectly. So after you've got those in, then you'll want to go back to your ruler, find your 5/8 along this line, give yourself another mark on both sides. You can see I've already marked this one here. And you're going to want to stitch between these two edges. Not beyond, not just, that's all you need to do. And then once you've stitched here, you can see I've already done a little bit of stitching here. Then you're going to want to cut in a V configuration right up to the end of that stitching. Just clip that out as carefully as you can. I didn't cut through that one. There we go. You have to be really, really, really close, right up to that stitching. And then once you've done that, we're going to clip right here where our seam line is. I can match those up. Don't do a big clip, just a little one. And then you'll take this piece, turn it right side around so we can all see what we're doing. And I'm going to flip this band so that the seam allowance is now underneath. And this little clip I did on my notch over here on the side, I can match it up right over there, put a pin in it, and I have marked where my seam allowance is, so if I get a little bit off, I can look again and pin that in. I'm going to take this out because that's already stitched, supposedly. And make sure that this is really smooth right here where these two points meet. And then you're going to sew right over the top of your previous basting, right up to that point. Once you've sewn all of that, then you can put your lining on, and only after you've done your lining, and there'll be stitching here, then you'll clip right into that corner. And again, you want to get really super close so that these edges can then be turned back on themselves and make a really nice clean line right through there. If you're worried about that stitching coming undone, I always use fray check. That can just a little tiny drop. In fact, you don't even need to do a drop. Just make sure there's some on the tip and kind of rub it on your fabric. It's a little plastic sealant that seals your stitches. So that's how you do that trim. The other fussy part is this trim here on the dress. You can see I've already got mine done. My trim is up there on the top. And the other point to pay attention to is that on the left side we have some ties that come down, and we're going to tie those just in a regular bow. But this seam right here where we have our dart, our little circles are 1/2 inch to either side. So if you just pay attention, measure, and then put your match your edges up, your seam allowance to that point, and sew it all the way around, it will be just great. Now what you'll want to do on this right side, where you've got this really big long tie, go ahead and match it up there and pin it. And then you're going to match it up at the side over here and pin it. And ease it in. If it seems like it's a little bit fat, then you can always take in your seam allowance on the side seam, and that's what I did. I actually had to take it in about 3/8 of an inch on both sides, and then it fit better because that bias tends to stretch, but you don't want to stretch it too much because you need that bias to get around your hips. So get your ties in, get your bodice put together, do your stay stitching, and we'll come back to do the side zipper.